driven, dynamic, determined, and divine. That is what I consider mothers. And today's guest, Sierra Obler, is all of those things and more. She is a mother of two boys, soon to be three, who is also pursuing her doctorate, and she is also the founder of Innovative Leadership. So thank you, Sierra, for joining the Empowered Mom Hour. It's wonderful to have you. Could you tell our listeners and viewers more about yourself?
Sure, I'm excited to be here. I am, like you said, a mom of two, almost three boys. We'll welcome the next one in May. I am a wife to a farmer and rancher. We are in South Dakota, so we like to say we live in the middle of nowhere because there's not a lot of people by us, but I stay busy with innovative leadership. I am going to school to get my doctorate, which I will complete in December this year. And then in the free time that I have, I'm also working on getting my certification for being a personal trainer and nutrition coach. So I like to stay busy with all those things, going on walks when we are capable of doing so, and just chasing them around, loving every moment of that. So,
Yes, and that is a lot to be doing as a mom of two boys, soon to be three. I mean, my goodness, you're due in May. And
yeah.
I know what that's like to be pursuing your dream while also pregnant. And I just, hats off to you, Sierra. Like, this is just incredible what you've done. So, one question that I have for you, actually, I have a few of them, is on the right mindset. So, first of all, I want to know, how do you get past your fears? I mean, there's a lot to go forward and choose to pursue a doctorate while also mothering young boys and being pregnant at the same time. So, what was your secret?
Honestly, I have to say, being a mom is one of the best titles I will ever hold, if not the best title. And that is the reason behind why I continue to chase my dreams, because ultimately, at the end of the day, when my boys or future girls or whatever, all my kids grow up, I want them to look at me or look back and say, my mom didn't quit just because we were running around. I want them to be able to have someone in their life that they can look at and say, she didn't quit. She kept pushing. I can keep pushing. And even though things get hard or something arises in life that you didn't plan on, it doesn't mean you have to stop chasing your own dreams. And so I actually had started the process after my first son was born because of that exact reason. I wanted him to say, my mom did it, and so can I.
That's beautiful. And, what a great message to send to your boys. They're going to see such a strong, powerful woman in the world, and they're going to know that that's the blueprint to follow. That's the one to be like impressed and proud of a strong woman instead of what we have now, unfortunately, with our culture and everything, where moms aren't seen and they aren't appreciated. So, what's another secret that you have with your mindset when it comes to those really, really hard moments? What's that one mantra that you do say to yourself?
I have to tell myself that these hard moments is where I'm going to learn the most. And the hard days are when ultimately, in the heat of the moment, I don't believe it. I have to walk away or start something different. But at the end of the day, I can look back and I learned the most by far on those hard moments. And I think reminding myself that if I want to learn and if I want to grow and want to continue improving in any way possible, I have to have those hard moments, because if we don't have them, we're not pushing ourselves past our limits. We're not trying new things, learning new things. We're staying in our comfort zone. And no one ever learns or grows if they just stay in their comfort zone. So I think the constant reminder of I'm learning something. And like I said, it's not something that I always enjoy learning. And most times they're hard lessons to be taught. But you look back and you think, if I would not have had that hard day, I would not be able to make it through all of these really good and fantastic moments as well.
Beautiful. And while we're talking on the subject of educating yourself and the knowledge, the next step is the right education. How do you get that right education for what you're pursuing and make sense of all of that noise that's out there? Because, you're building your own business and there's so much education out there on how to build your business. There's so much overwhelm when it comes to what templates to use, the sales tactics, the marketing tactics. How do you block that noise out and start tuning into yourself? What is that secret?
I think a lot of it is to listen. First and foremost, you need to be open and willing to listen to all of it. Whether I agree with it or not, I need to listen because I might get bits and pieces of one thing that someone says and take it and run with it. And there might be other people that tell me something and I take the whole thing. But if I'm not willing to listen, I'm not willing to grow. I'm not willing to change something or improve in some area. And I had a professor tell me one time that the minute we stop learning and being curious is the minute we stop growing. And like as a person, we stop learning and growing. And I don't ever want to get to that point. But I also know that there are people out there who I feel like sometimes come across in a negative way of trying to tell you this is what you have to do. Well, no, it's not because we are not the same person. We don't have the same ideas. We don't have the same goals, and none of us have walked the same paths. So for someone to say you have to do this, well, their theory or their thoughts might be beneficial in some way, but to do it that exact same way, I tell them, I'm grateful that you gave me the information. I'm grateful that you shared your insight, but that's not for me. It's maybe, like I said, take a little bit of it and run with it, or maybe don't take any of it. But the fact that you sit and listen, you also now know what you don't want to do or what you don't want to implement into your marketing or what might not reach your group of people that you're looking to really talk to or work with. But you could also do the opposite. You could listen to someone's marketing strategy and say, hey, this is exactly what I need to implement in some way. But I think the important part is, like I said, taking the time to just listen.
Wow. And when you were talking about that professor, I was thinking it's like you're really lucky that you had that professor to tell you that and that you listened to that. That's one of the things that I talk about. You need those right facilitators, which we're getting ahead of ourselves because actually the next question after this one coming up is on right facilitators. So we will circle back. But the question now is, how do you create that right environment for yourself to be able to try out these different marketing strategies, try out these different sales strategies? Like, I know as a mom, things aren't always perfect. And sometimes we've got chaos in the background, we've got some clutter. So how do you cultivate that right environment, even if it's just carving out a little space for yourself? What do you really need to be able to be at your best?
For me, a lot of it is I have to prioritize my time, whether it is late at night or during nap times. When when I'm not busy chasing them, I am ultimately focused. And I know as a mom, you could be called away within 2 minutes. And so we don't know what's going to happen in the next hour. And so when I have the little bit of time that I do, I really have to stay focused and prioritize and say, okay, this is what I'm working on today. And I am very much a pen and paper person. So I write down all of my to-do list, but then I might star a certain thing or mark a certain thing and say, hey, on Monday, this is going to be my top priority. And so anytime I get time on Monday, I work on that certain thing. And there are a lot of days I don't accomplish the whole task, but the little bit that I'm able to accomplish is better than none of it. So it's a lot of almost like resetting your mindset of saying, instead of scrolling on my phone for an hour, I'm going to connect with people. And if you're still scrolling or you're looking on LinkedIn or whatever app it may be, you're commenting, you're liking, you're connecting with people instead of just scrolling and not getting anything out of it. So prioritizing and saying, I could be called away in 2 minutes because someone gets sick or someone falls off something. And so I think prioritizing that, but it takes a lot. You have to really focus, and sometimes it's putting down your phone and saying, I'm only working on my computer for this hour or whatever it may be. I think it looks very different for every single mom because age changes. And like right now, like I said, I work in nap times. In 3 years, when none of my kids nap, it'll probably all have to happen after they're in bed or not at home because I won't have that time. But to know what works best in each person's schedule and then just saying, this is when I'm going to get it done and following through with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great that you also mentioned about commenting and LinkedIn and all of that, because that's what we've really been doing on the back end as busy moms. And this is just a little segue in. We can't be on all the time. It just doesn't work. And when we're posting, we need to do it intentionally. So part of what I do with the ecosystem and what I even showed you, Sierra, is it allows you to have those moments, those stolen moments where you're scrolling, but you're not just scrolling, you're also intentionally commenting because that all seeds into your ecosystem and allows you to have the freedom to be able to have that business and to have that free time and to be with your family instead of changing from a 9 to 5 to a 10 to 12 hour business day. Instead of that, you recognize I can scroll right now. I have the time. I can do a quick check in. My kids are playing on the playground. I'm watching them and they're okay. But I mean, that comes later, of course, when they're a little bit bigger. You do need to be there more present when they're babies. But even when you've got a baby napping on you, you can still scroll and you can comment, and that all seeds in with threads and everything. So I just wanted to mention you have created the right environment within your own ecosystem. I checked it out and I'm like, oh my gosh, Sierra, you have such a beautiful profile. So anybody watching or listening, go check out Sierra Abler because she is amazing at what she posts. I'm now commenting on stuff as well. So when you follow both of us, you get the full story. You follow only one of us and you only get half the story because as moms, we're constantly collaborating with each other. So that leads into the next one, which is the right facilitator. And let's circle back to your heroes, those people that actually supported you, the experts, the teachers in your life. What stands out for you the most?
Well, I've had a lot of teachers that have stuck with me. There's some professors that I've had. Actually, there's one specifically. I had her for my very first undergrad class in college, and then I had her during my master's, and she's actually one of my professors in my graduate courses as well. So she has been there. She has seen me become a mom, get married, do all of that, and she has been absolutely incredible the whole time. Very open, very willing to work with me in whatever stage of life I'm in, which I think in today's society is not always visible with people. And so I think I don't ever take that for granted with her. I also had a couple other teachers that have always, they've just reached out. They want to make that relationship. They want to have, like you mentioned, they want to have that ecosystem of people that they can connect with, they can collaborate with outside of the classroom. They want to be able to see your family grow. They want to know how you're doing as a human, not just as a student or not just as a business person. They want to know who you are. My biggest supporter right now is my husband by far. He has done a lot. He's one of them. If I give him one of my crazy ideas, he typically rolls his eyes a little bit, but then he says, okay, what's our next step? And just follows through with it. He does all that. My boys are a big supporter, a reminder of why I started, why I do what I do. Um, but then, you also think about your parents and whether it was good or bad, otherwise, in some way, I truly believe all of our parents shaped us to be motivated to some extent of who we are right now. My mom really motivated me. She showed me, women can do anything men do. And to me, that was huge, especially in the society that we live in. And to know that as a mom, I can do everything that any male wants to do. Now, I let my husband do a lot of the heavy lifting physically, but I always tell him, I said, I can figure it out. It might not be done the same way, but we can figure it out. So I've had a lot of support. I have had a village. Everyone says it takes a village, and I truly believe it does. But if you find the right village, a mom can accomplish anything she wants, period.
And that leads right into the right support, actually, because, we really do need to have that. So, what is one thing that your husband does that really, really helps when you're at that point where you're going at your business or you're going at your doctorate and things aren't working the way you want them to? What does he do that helps you and supports you the best?
He does really anything I ask. He is my calm. I I am a very introverted, calm person most of the time. But when I have something to say, I'm going to say it. And he is the person that I go to and I say, this is how my day was. I just spill everything. He listens to me no matter what, even if he frankly does not care or doesn't understand what I'm talking about. He listens. And I think with a lot of that is huge. But he also listens in the way of if I say, I need you to take the boys. I need a day to myself. I need you to figure it out. He just automatically, okay, whatever you need to be successful is what he wants to do. He wants to see me do everything that I possibly can to chase my dreams. He has been the one since I brought up even getting my doctorate. He was the only person that said, yes, go do it without any hesitation. Everyone else they didn't tell me no, but they were hesitant for me to begin. But from the beginning, he said, yes, if that's what you want to do, go do it. And he has encouraged me on all of the hard days and been that reminder that, like I said earlier, we're going to have these hard days, but they're the best ones for us to have. So I think as someone who I know I can rely on him, I know that I can say, I need you to take the boys. I need 20 minutes to myself, or I need to go get my nails done to just get out of the house, or whatever it may look like or be. He does it without any hesitation. I would not be going after my doctorate at all if it were not for him. I would not have started innovative leadership if it were not for him. So he is the main rock behind all of the hard days and all of the hard work.
Oh, wow. My dear mentor and friend Annie Lala talks about the partner being the trampoline for dreams and sanctuary for your heart. And it sounds like that is exactly what you have with your partner, which is beautiful because we need that, especially as moms going for ambitious dreams. We need to have that one person in our corner. And if it's not our partner, then the question is, what are they doing? I
Yes,
mean,
exactly.
really, like if he wasn't supporting your dreams, like you even mentioned, you wouldn't be going for this. Your partner needs to be an enhancement. And as part of my book, No More Mommy Martyr, I even say it a little bit more cheeky. I say he's either an asset or an asshole.
Yes,
So
I would
you've
agree.
got an asset.
I do. Yes. Yeah, I would not be doing any of it if I did not have the support from him.
Yeah. So tell me now about innovative leadership. What got you started on that?
So I was a elementary teacher. I taught in the second and third grade for a short period of time. I dealt with a lot of behaviors, student misbehaviors, but I've always gravitated towards them. Even when I did all my student teaching sessions, I always went toward those students that, they might throw scissors, they might break things, they might, yell at you and tell you you're the worst person ever, and then show up the next day and want to give you a hug. Those were my students. And not that I didn't like teaching the other ones, but I just gravitated towards the ones with the behaviors. And so I chose to step away from teaching because I wanted to find a way to help educators with those students. I am a firm believer that student misbehaviors are not going anywhere anytime soon. And so now it is a matter of how can we help our educators feel confident in themselves and confident with what they're doing in their classrooms. And so I created Innovative Leadership to work with educators and create different professional development programs that are geared towards increasing their confidence. And a lot of it, like I mentioned, is geared towards the student misbehaviors, not all of it. Some of it is simply just, how do I gain my confidence back as a teacher? Because I want to step away, but I don't. And so looking to see what is it that's going to help them. But a lot of my programs are toward working with teachers to walk into their classroom, and if a student says, you're the worst teacher ever, I don't ever want to see you again, you can say with confidence, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to be right back here. You're going to be right back here. We'll try again tomorrow. And for the teacher to go home and not feel like what the student said, like they don't want to take it to heart. Because as educators, I really believe that they get a lot of the worst in students. They see a lot of the worst possible things. But students do that, I believe, to the teachers that they need the most, that they can rely on, and they know they're going to show up. It doesn't matter if they throw something at them or say something mean, they're going to show up for them the next day. But at the same time, that's exhausting to do it every single day. And I did not feel like educators were getting the right support in that area. I feel like our students are starting to get more support in the social emotional aspect of trying to work with behaviors, but educators have always been, well, how do we help the students? How do we help the students? Which I think is still important, but if we don't have the educators, we don't have someone to help those students. So that's why my programs are mainly geared toward the educators and trying to help them so that we can help our students as well.
Wow. And it's kind of like how with parenting, we often get the really rough behaviors, especially the moms, because
Mm-hmm.
we're the energetic leader in our families. Our babies are literally tied to our nervous systems from even before birth. And then for the first few years of life, they're still tied to our nervous systems. And then they lash out and they need that safe place. And then when
Mm-hmm.
they're taken to school later on, they don't have mom anymore, but they do tend to latch on to their teachers. And the younger they are, the less likely they're able to manage their own emotions. And then, I love that. I love that you're actually holding teachers, because we've been holding moms and saying you can't pour from an empty cup. It's a whole other story of how we get that cup filled. But for teachers, especially too, like a lot of times teachers don't have that cup full either. They're pouring from that empty cup into their students, and the students need so much from teachers. We really do need to recognize our teachers.
Yes, I agree. I think a lot of the professional development that I experienced was geared toward the students. How do we improve the students? Which ultimately, yes, they're the upcoming generations. You want to learn and grow with them as well. But like I said, if we don't have educators to do that, what are we doing with our students?
Yeah, we can't have teachers burning out,
No.
and especially the good teachers at that. The
Yes.
good teachers, the ones that stay, the ones that pay attention, noticing when students are going through challenges. I actually had a really good teacher back in ninth grade. I was more of a wallflower, and I was going through a really difficult time in my family. I'll talk more about this, of course, in my book, No More Mommy Martyr. But the crux of it was that in this creative writing class, I was able to speak my actual story. And I wrote a lot of stories knowing that the only one who was going to see it was going to be that teacher. And she had said to me at one point, she's like, "You're a fantastic writer. And one day you're going to write a book." And she was the only one who had actually said, "You're going to write a book," outside of my family. And, when parents say it, that sometimes it seems like they think too much of you, but when it's a teacher who says it, and they don't have to love you, but they choose to love you and they choose to support you. I mean, I've got one book already on my shelf now, and I've got another one on the way. So, Mrs. Nelson, wherever you are, I remember you, and I did write a book. You were right. So,
It is crazy what teachers say and how big of an impact they make. Positive or negative, the words from teachers make a huge impact on their students.
it really does. And, my kids have had some really excellent teachers over the years that have been quite a support for me with what was going on. And I believe that moms need to be friends with teachers. They really do need to befriend the teacher and get to know the teacher of your students and children. Like, just recognize the teacher is like another parent in a lot of ways. The one that comes in and helps, or a childless auntie, if you would rather that. But they really are part of your village. And as you already mentioned, Sierra, the village is important, and the village includes teachers. So it's
Yeah.
beautiful what you're doing. What is one favorite success story that you've had in helping teachers?
I've had a lot. Just, I think honestly, one of my favorite parts in general is you can see, just like when you're a teacher, you see when the student's light turns on and they have that aha moment and they know that they have figured something out on their own or with help, but they know they're confident in it. When you can see that in a teacher and you just see their cup filling up and you can tell that they are back to teaching from the heart, it is the most fulfilling thing as doing what I do, because not only can I say, okay, we got there, but I can tell the teacher, you did this. In my programs, I don't tell teachers, this is how you should teach. This is what you should do. We really look at how can we help you, but I can't do the work for them. And so when we turn on that light bulb or they have that aha moment, I can say, you did this. You put in the work. You did whatever it took to get back there, and you found yourself again. As an educator, you found yourself. You found the why. You remember why you started. You are able to go back to the younger version of you and say, this is why I started. And so seeing in the teacher's eyes as they look at their students, and you can just tell they're back to loving every moment of teaching. They don't want to leave. They want to be there. They're confident in themselves. That is the most rewarding part of anything I do. And I think I've had a lot of teachers that have also reached that point, and then a couple months down the road, they say, I'm still here because we worked on things and we found what worked for me, which is, once again, it's different for everyone. But when they can say, I'm still here and I can do this, and you can just tell that they are confident, that is by far the most rewarding thing that I have done.
That's beautiful. So how can moms help teachers? What would be your advice to moms in getting that communication, even talking to the teachers about taking your program? What would you say to a mom?
I would first and foremost tell moms that besides you, and if you have a spouse, your child's teacher is their biggest supporter. Outside of you and their other parent or guardian, their teacher wants to see them succeed. And so I think it is very important to, going back to that listening, listen to what your teacher has to say, or your child's teacher has to say. It's not always what I think parents want to hear, but good teachers will tell the parents what they need to hear. And I think sometimes it's hard as a teacher because you don't want to hurt, especially going from the perspective of being a mom to talking to moms. There are hard conversations that have to be had from time to time, but it's important to remember that your child's teacher wants them to be successful. You might not agree with it. You might not end up doing whatever the teacher says, but to just listen and hear the teacher out because they're with your child for a lot of hours throughout each year. But then to also, I don't want to say become friends. I think there needs to be a professional boundary between the teacher and the parents, but to also let the teacher know, hey, we are here to support you. If you need an extra box of Kleenexes in your classroom, let me know. If you need extra markers for the whiteboard, let me know. Something so simple as that goes a long ways with teachers to just even know that they have support outside of the school system. But also, as a parent, I think it's also important to advocate for your child 100% of the time. And to, if they hear about my programs, to say, hey, this might be worth trying. It might not be for you, but just to look into it and to give the resources. Teachers are people that are always looking for more resources to improve on themselves, to improve with their classroom. And so I think if a teacher and the mom specifically is able to have that open communication and say, we both are here for the same purpose, to see each child be successful, I think once again, moms and teachers can truly accomplish anything or get a student to where they need to be at whatever time they need to be there.
Yeah, I agree too with that. And, it's just incredible the level of support that teachers could get if parents understood a lot of the struggles. In my own space and community as well, we often have our teachers, they spend the budget like on their own to get the supplies. I don't know what it is like where you are, but here it's really hard to get extra supplies. The teachers have to buy everything up. They don't get paid what they're deserving to be paid. And then in addition to that, the kids need things and families need things and they need to have that communication going. And, it's sometimes not fair at all that teachers don't get paid what they really deserve to be paid and they still show up. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I wanted to know now is what is the next step? If somebody really wanted to work with you right now, what's the next step?
The next step is honestly reaching out either over email at innovativeleadershippd@gmail.com or messaging me on Instagram. That always comes across pretty quickly. Or I have a form on my website at innovative-leadership.biz. There's basically a breakdown of the couple different programs that I have been offering. It gives enough detail for you to get the understanding of it, but then there's a form as well that if someone were to be interested in one of them to just fill it out. It goes directly to me. It's very simple. To begin, I really just want to get to know the teacher. So we would do something very similar, and as you and I had earlier, a coffee chat, we just get to know each other. We get to know who the other person is as a person, not as someone over the internet. And we talk about some hard things. We talk about the tough times of teaching. We talk about if there's stuff going on at home that maybe is affecting their confidence level as well. We talk about all of that. It's all, of course, confidential, but it really allows for me to say, this is where we should start, but where are we going to end up? What's your long-term goal? And I create that with the teacher. I don't ever say, okay, your first step is this, or your second step is this. We talk it all through, because something that I might think is realistic for them to be doing, they could say, I don't have time for any of this. And so I don't ever want to set them up for failure or to already be overworking themselves in additional ways. So Yeah, the best way is to contact me one of those ways. And then we do the coffee chat and we go from there because every program is different for every educator.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same for me as well, is we want to make sure that something works for someone. And teachers are the second busiest people compared to moms.
Yes.
So when we look at that, at the fact that we've got moms and teachers as very, very busy, and a lot of programs and things out on the internet expect us to have time, it's really helpful to be able to have someone come alongside you and be like, hey, let's work with your schedule. Let's work with what you can do. And having that knowledge and that wisdom. So, as a facilitator yourself, Sierra, you're really helping teachers to be able to get back to loving what they're doing with their students, which means they can help their students better. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about? Because we do have a little bit longer, we can go a bit further. So, what's one thing that really lights you up?
Um, I feel like a broken record when I say this, but it's really my boys. As a mom, and I know that you know this, Carly, we would do anything for our children. And I think being a mom and an educator, the women who choose to do that are incredible. To decide to love on your own children any moment you have, and then to go into a school and love on all of those children that walk into your classroom. I think it is something that goes unnoticed a lot. It goes unnoticed way too much. But I also think that they need to be talking about it. I think that moms need to talk about having those hard days because we all have them. And I think that so many times, especially on social media, we see things that, oh, this mom has a perfectly clean house and their kids are perfect and they never misbehave and they never have dirty dishes in the sink, and that's not true. We all are humans. We have the dirty dishes. We have the piles of laundry that we are always behind on. We could be washing bedding even if our clothes are caught up. And no one has the perfect workout routine to also be super mom. And I really feel like as moms, we have so much power in this world to make the not so pretty things a reality because that's just how it is. I feel like a lot of social media has made it look like we can't be imperfect when really, as moms, we are imperfect every single day. None of us know what we're doing. Ultimately, we are all flying by the seat of our pants every single day, trying to be our best. But ultimately, none of us are perfect. We're just trying. We're all trying. And I think it's very hard at times, even for myself, to accept, hey, I wasn't a great mom today. It's hard, but it's the reality. And so I feel like as moms, if we are willing to talk about that and find our village and find someone like you, Carly, where it's you can just be open and you can say, hey, I had a tough day at work today. I had a tough day at home today. I wasn't a good mom. I wasn't a good wife. I wasn't whatever it might have been. But tomorrow's a new day. I can try again, but to talk about the not so pretty things. I think that's
Yeah.
important for us as moms going forward.
Talking about the not so pretty things and
Mhm.
no more mommy martyr and no more super mom. Like, you can't win. If you're
No.
mommy martyr, you're giving up on your dreams, sacrificing your dreams on the altar of motherhood, which for ambitious moms especially is so hard to watch your dreams flitter away. And that's why, I mean, you, Sierra, you look at it and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to do my dharma in the world. I'm going to do my magic, because the other option is to just give up. And you said giving up is not an option. And that's the same for me too. Giving up is not an option. I tried sacrificing my dreams on the altar of motherhood to be the perfect good mother, the Stepford wife. And I felt so dead inside. And I'm like, I don't know how any of these women can do this, to just sacrifice their dreams. But then the other side is supermom. and trying to be perfect all the time. And you've pretty much found this balance, pursuing your doctorate and also recognizing it's okay if you weren't a good mom today, because you can always try again tomorrow, or even just finish the day and be like, hey, I wasn't at my best today. I did snap at the kids, or I did snap at you, partner, who I love so much. And at the same time, well, with him, I'm pretty sure he's like, what do you need? And then he gives you a break, which so beautiful that you have that. So thank you, Sierra. And if anybody wants to work with Sierra, again, DM would probably be the fastest route
Yep.
because she's already on Instagram. She's on social media. She's doing her thing. As moms, if you get our attention through DMs, it's so much faster than us having to sift through our email. But even if you do want to do the email, you've got that now. And you also have a form that you can fill out. So there's different ways that you can work with Sierra. I highly encourage you to tell teachers about this as well, because, teachers really are there to support your kids. And I've had some really good teachers for my kids. And I had a very good relationship with the teachers. And I wish that I had known Sierra when my teachers were still struggling with my kids, because maybe that would have given them a little bit of an extra boost. But we can't go back, but we can move forward. So, Sierra, thank you so much for being on the Empowered Mom Hour. Is there one more thing that you want to say, or are we pretty much wrapped up?
I want to say thank you to you, Carly, for empowering moms to continue chasing their dreams, to be able to talk as you've given me time to talk about my journey and to explain what I do as a mom. I think the fact that moms know they can listen to you and they can have someone to have those virtual coffee chats with, even if they just listen to your podcast and they know, hey, I've got a new episode, I can listen to Carly, we can talk about mom things. When moms know that they have those mom things, it's an incredible thing. And I'm so excited to also read your soon to be 2 books as well, and to dive deeper into what moms can accomplish. And once again, talking about those not so pretty things with moms and bringing those to light. So what you're doing is incredible. So don't discredit yourself. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come talk to you about my journey as a mom.
Well, thank you, Sierra. That's so beautiful. And, as a podcast guest, you do get to have an extra little surprise here, is you do get to read No More Mommy Martyr before it actually goes into print. So I'll have the PDF ready for you soon, and you can read through the whole thing and then start talking about it, because part of our ecosystem is information is free and we charge for access to our energy. So as moms, especially if you're building a business, if you want to pursue a business and pursue a doctorate and do all of the things, you need to recognize that you are the most important, valuable thing that you are selling to your consumers. And the customer is buying you. They're buying your time. They're buying your energy. Outside of that, you have a lot of knowledge to basically be like, well, I could teach this, 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 and this. But with the rise of AI now, we have the ability to just put that stuff out there. And then when someone comes to you, they're pre-sold. So there's a lot about the ecosystem. If you want to know more about that, you can just Google, what does Carly Bonderud say about her ecosystem of attraction? That's an easy way. And if you want to know more about what Sierra and I are talking about on the internet, all over the internet, then your code is simple. What did Sierra and Carly Bonderud talk about in Empowering Moms? And that is going to show up what our interviews are, what we talk about on LinkedIn, what we talk about on Instagram. So you'll always be abreast of the new things that are coming out. And you'll be like, oh, they're doing another podcast together, or they're doing a collaboration together, or they're just saying really nice things about each other. Because as moms, we really do things differently here. And Sierra, you mentioned before and telling me about that digital footprint. You didn't know that you were out there on the internet, just so shiny and bright. And I'm like, Sierra, like it's right there. I got all of the information. So how was that for you when I told you about that blueprint?
I was excited. Yeah, I did not know a lot about it to begin with, so it was something new for me to look further into. The internet is a crazy place. So I wasn't necessarily surprised that the internet has those capabilities, but I didn't know to what extent. And it went beyond the extent of what I anticipated it would have known or seen or viewed or been about. So it was exciting to see how everything across all platforms comes together as one. And it's not what you say just on Facebook or just on Threads or just on LinkedIn or Instagram. It all is one. And so when you're able to make it all one, I feel like there's endless opportunities from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, when you also combine it with your sisters, when you find those people that you resonate with, like Sierra and I are always on our online platforms, but now we are connected and we're having those conversations, then what that allows you to do is have people in your corner back to the village that you talked about, that you now have an online village. So you're not the only one posting into the void anymore. You've got people that see you, that can also comment, that can prompt you to come up with more of your genius. So that when a client comes to you, they're pre-sold because they're like, I've seen you talking to so and so. I've seen how you're handling this, and you've got your personal side and your business side, and it's cohesive, it's beautiful, and it bypasses the idea of being perfect. We want to stop being perfect, okay? Because the AI is perfect. And we want to make sure that we win the fight against humanity and the AI, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, Sierra, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being on the Empowered Mom Hour. And for any listeners who want to get on as a podcast guest, my love language is bug me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. You can just send me a message directly. That is the fastest way to get to me. I do have an intake form, and at the same time, DM me. That will get my attention. Okay? So thank you so much for watching. Have a happy, empowered birth journey, whether you're birthing a baby, a business, a project, a new version of yourself. Let empowering moms be your guide. And I will see you next time. Namaste.